key to taking down Fox is through their inexperience in early game and macro decision making.
TSM is a team that won't give you things for free.
We definitely love fighting.
I think it's going to be a brawl.
I hope you've got your pencils sharpened because we are back in Academy for today. The players are live and in studio for the first match of the semifinals as they play for that Academy title of champions. I am Rivington Bisson III, joined by the best KDA cover dancer on this platform specifically. It's Mark Zimmerman.
I hope that's not true. I'd be very sad if that was true.
Before we get into tonight's matches and our dance-off, let's check out how the bracket has played out so far. Check this out. Last week, FOXA Academy took down 100 Thieves Academy in a close 5-game series. Check that out, but not right now, which pits them against TSM Academy today. This should be a fantastic match. We're kind of also expecting it to go the full 5.
Yep, hopefully we see that. The other match that happened was Team Liquid Academy had the tough task of taking down Cloud9 tomorrow to conclude the semifinal weekend.
And last week, FOXA Academy's mid laner, Yusui, remember that name, he put on a performance that could get LCS teams looking, especially if they are in the market for a native mid laner in NA.
Feels like everyone is, and Yusui turned a lot of heads with his hard carry performance on champions like Sylas, Akali, Caston, a lot more assassins, and we'll see if he can maintain that versus a slightly more established Academy mid laner against a Blaze Olive. And that being said, the FOXA win was very scrappy. That 5-game series was back and forth. They threw a game here or there, a lot of leads being tossed around, so it was very close.
It's that mental toughness of 5 games. We should see here today. We'll see how they perform against TSM Academy, who, despite earning themselves that second place bye, feels good. They did have it a far from clean season getting there.
Yeah, it was a really up and down split for them, all things considered. They were part of a clump, then they're above it, they're below it, they're all over the place. And they swapped junglers between Grig and Fnatic at different times. As you see on screen, Grig is starting. At the same time, bot lane has had its shining moments, as has mid lane with the Blaze Olive. So we're going to keep our eye on Tactical and him. And we'll see if they are worthy of getting that second place bye because it was so close between so many teams.
And mid lane's going to be there to watch. The bot lane as well. I cannot wait to see actually what happens. I feel like there might be a bit of a mismatch as we come into the jungle, but it's something to watch because, as I said, I feel like they'll be in the back pocket of mid lane anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Panda had some mistakes in that series. I think he was someone that a lot of people singled out, but at the same time, he was very effective doing what he needed to do. Sometimes that meant camping top for Lorlo and just making sure he didn't die on Kale and things like that.
Both love to be aggressive. A lot of Jarvan, a lot of the Olaf between these two. If they do have to go to a tank, they'll kind of trend towards Sejuani, and you have a bit of the Nocturne in there. We usually see it on the ban list, but I feel like if one of those junglers gets it, level 6, let's go.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to see what they choose to do.
So let's meet the teams as we prepare for the matchup. Selecting on the blue side for game 1, it is going to be TSM Academy. That's Brandini in the top lane, Grig in the jungle, a Blaze Olive in mid. That bot lane is Tactical, and Treats at support with Coach Peter.
And on the red side, it's FOXA Academy. In the top lane, Lorlo, Panda in the jungle, Yusui mid lane, Lost in the bot lane, supported by Phil, with Coach Mabry.
That is right, and we mentioned it earlier, but a lot of how this series plays out, it could be in that mid lane matchup between a Blaze Olive and Yusui.
That is indeed the two guys you're talking about, looking at both native mid laners that I feel like people have been having their eye on for a couple of years now. Blaze Olive hasn't had quite as stellar of a split, was still number 2 in KDA, to be fair, but Yusui was number 1, had a lot of kills, and was a key figure for his team getting ahead. So he's trying to go on a tear again, but it's up to a Blaze Olive to keep him in check in this series.
And they both seem like they feel pretty good. Oh, a little yawn there from Blaze. He's like, I'm just ready. Why are we even waiting to get into this? Yusui wet in the whistle, but they are absolutely prepared to, I feel, play some assassons coming in.
Oh my God, are those runes on his screen?
Explosive plays. He's tapped into the secret page.
Yeah. And I think there are other people that had some big moments too. We talked about the Kale being a champion that Lorlo broke out a couple times and started influencing the draft. And it's one of those kind of hidden power type things where you're always looking at KDA and CSD and all this stuff. But like if you're drawing bans from any team, if you're warping how they approach the draft, that's actually a lot harder to track, but very, very important.
And from that top lane, they shared in the beginning Urgot and Sion back and forth, both Brandini and Lorlo. As the season went on, you saw Lorlo go back to a few of his fighters, and Aurelia and the Fiora. A few more tanks for Brandini still. I think he trended towards the Aatrox and Renekton were the most kind of fightery things but we'll see if that affects the top lane. If TSM still feels that tank there is what they need and the threats come from a Blaze Olive, maybe Greg and Tactical and bot.
Indeed, we see the Urgot ban come in.
There's the Lissandra as well. Saw that a few times in the hands of a Blaze Olive. Not so much a Yusui player, so they decide to kill that one right off the bat. Third and final ban here for TSM Academy. 15 seconds left. His coach, Peter, behind them. Gives them the what for and how to for this last one.
Experienced coach. Lost with someone who was underneath him, I think, last year, and enjoyed that very much. We see LeBlanc as well. A lot of mid lane focus, but what's interesting is they're getting rid of some of the more staple control-y mages. I know LeBlanc isn't really a control mage, but she is still more mage-like than some of the other things we've been seeing recently in the mid lane, like the Silases and the Kali's. So we'll see what they choose to go with.
And there's the Silas, so we will not be seeing that there in the mid lane, actually.
As I say,
First pick here for TSM Academy could be the Jason. They lock it in quite fast, so it looks like there'll be a threat towards that top side, or at least an ability to poke out here as we get into the mid to late game objectives.
Right, and it was a champion that was basically permaban heading into this week, and it feels like with some of the changes they're looking at potentially keep him in as an option. But we'll have to see if he's still as oppressive as he was.
Oh, I was gonna say the Azir. Kind of definitely something that Yusui can get his kills on, but I like the Akali a lot better. They can also throw that towards Lorlo, not something he has regularly played throughout the season. But mainly that pick for Yusui. I'm thinking this Kayle is actually left up for this first phase.
Yeah, last week the Kayle was, while strong and eventually started getting banned out, it wasn't something they jumped to right away. It was taken in the second phase initially after seeing the majority of the draft, and then it slowly rose through time. So we'll see if once again Echo Fox deprioritizes it early on in the series, and then if it starts being successful, start playing it later.
And there's their Nocturne, the possible Sejuani coming in and a tank on the other side. So have that bit of initiation, the ability to lock down that target and really zero them out with now Aurelia picked up for phase one of TSM side. How is the answer here for Echo Fox Academy? We're looking for jungler and mid laner here. If they get top, they match, but they could choose to go with something else.
Yep, and just to be clear, we are on 9.6, which is why you see the Urgot ban, where he kind of got that insane buff to his E, putting the shield on that and all that stuff. Those are the Jace nerfs I was talking about. Silas also got touched a little bit, but it wasn't a very big nerf. So we do see a really aggressive team comp so far out of TSM in the first phase. Aurelia, Sejuani are very powerful, and they can kind of get flexed with the Jace wherever they want, and those are two really good ganking lanes for Grig early on.
That is definitely Phil's Galio being locked in as well. He's got the most plays as support in this game. Treats really doesn't even mess with that. Gargoyle, what will be Brahms locked out, so they're trying to focus down what Treats could get next, so they have a bit of an easier lane. Lost has been focusing the Zaya, even when they don't have the Rakan. We'll see what they choose.
Yeah, I mean, Zaya also got a buff this patch, so we'll have to see if they want to go towards that. She just got a big attack speed buff on her W, and that is a champion that was already seeing play, was already decently prioritized, so you have to think it's going to go even higher, especially with Ezreal changes that came in. Tear of the Goddess no longer being stackable. So
it's one that they both play. Kaisa as well on the side of Lost if they choose to kind of divvy up that AD carry, as well on the other side I believe Tacticals was Ezreal that he's been playing for quite some time.
See Thresh band, still probably the strongest support individual. And with such little showing from the bot lanes, no surprise that's where a couple more of these bans are going.
There's the Kaisa. We'll see what else they can lock in here. Thresh taken away from Treats. That makes me pretty sad, Panda, on that.
See what he goes with. Tom Kench still available. I would assume that's what TSM Academy might be looking at. Alistar is a champion that's interesting to me because it was very prominent in North America early on into the split and sort of disappeared without really significant changes, as we see a Taric Sona insta-lock him. Whoa, is that right? That is insane.
I like it. Both are locked in. Yeah, I was waiting to see if there was like a hover.
No, went over to Phil. I'm just like, what?
All right. They are not missed picks. Sona and Taric coming in. You have a few games to mess with if you consider there are 5 games of the series. The first 3 could really matter if you start to fall behind, but It's going to be Sona and Tarek coming in. There are no Sona picks coming in for Tactical. I can tell you that right now. And there are no Tarek picks coming in for Treats. However, he did play the tanks, the Shens. The Thresh was banned away from him, so he knows how to get in the face of his opponents. But interesting.
What in the good goddamn
plays here. They're very, very close range. It's going to be hard to take turrets unless they're very far ahead in sieging. I feel like TSM Academy has really put a time around their game plan here.
Well, so
what do you got?
All right, here's what I got. It's a lot of sustain in that lane, but we'll have to see if they actually want to go for that. It's weird to me because I assume the Sona will be the carry between the two in the lane. She has pretty annoying harass with her Q spam. And then with the Tarek shield and heal, as well as her own heal, she probably doesn't put any points in E for speed up. So you just go for this really lane dominant, poke focused bot lane that's going to try and 2v2 by itself while the Sejuani runs around the map, and you go for 3 winning lanes, 3 aggressive places, 4 ganks to come in, and then you also are up against a Nocturne and some weaker champions on the enemy side. So you're saying we can slam these lanes. I'm just a little shocked at the comp as a whole.
I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, me too.
The initiation.
My brain is boomed.
If the laning phase goes as well as it should for them, they have a pretty good amount of aggression. You're not going to do too much to Vlad in the top lane is Jace, but you should be able to destroy if you get level 2 first. This bottom lane, just being able to support and continuously get long range attacks in.
Right, and the thing about Sona as a champion has always been that while she's very strong in lane, she has such a low base HP value. I mean, just looking at that right now, you can see she has roughly 483 health, level 1. So if a champion ever walks around with an early gank and can get on top of you, you pretty much pop instantly, and she's one of those champions kind of similar to Jace where you want to have pressure for the entire laning phase, and as soon as you die once or lose your summoners, it's very quickly going to be destroying you.
Yeah.
So I feel like against a Nocturne, you don't have to worry about that as much. If you are able to ward up your river, he doesn't have that many creative gank paths available. Yes, there is good setup from the flash taunt that can come in from a Galio, but if you can see the gank coming before then and you've already poked them out, it is actually a pretty hard gank to pull off.
We'll see what they can do as we begin this game, the first of our semi-final matchup. And we'll have to see. It should be noted that TSM Academy support Treats. He will be playing today's games remotely. Visa issues have prevented him from traveling with his team, but he is still playing with them today, and he is bringing gems to the table with this Tarek lock-in. So the flash support, or flash exhaust down there for the support, and a bit of Guardian for that Tarek. Tactical's got the teleport, as you were saying. Let's see if he can get to other lanes and how well they actually start off in this lane. Sona starts off pretty mana hungry, so it might just be auto attacks and farming as they keep themselves safe. Greg off to a nice start on that as well, and pretty orthodox around the table if we're looking at it for our beginning buys. Lorlo got the chain vest, or sorry, I got the cloth armor and some potions just to keep himself nice and healthy against this long range of Brandini.
Great guy, Rivington, pulling up a little thread on the Sona
help for production.
Yeah,
well.
Everyone coming up together to break down this Sona Tarek. So if you remember, way back in the middle of the season, people started experimenting with Frostfang type builds where you don't get farm early on and then you switch over who's getting the farm. And so that is kind of what this build is aiming to do. The Sona will eventually become the carry in the lane, but early on is much more focused on harass through the use of that Frostfang. And then the Tarek is the one getting it early on with the Targons. Once Sona is able to go back early, upgrade, and TP back in the lane, and gets her quest completed, then she starts taking the farm, and it's going for that double quest item, lots of Sightstone Vision to set up. And there's been some people apparently in EU Challenger killing on it, so let's go.
We've got Persona's runes and how they're going to try and organize this strategy a little bit. Lockdown, not getting themselves caught, and like you said, just staying safe for the beginning. Tarek's runes up in a little bit as we keep this lane. I like it. Let's see if they can get it to work later, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The thing about Tarek that we haven't seen in a long time is how strong of a team fighter he is. And Sona, while as a carry doesn't seem to bring what most people consider enough to the table, she is still a very strong support with the flash ult engages that you see coming in. And then you also have the Tarek ult probably going to get dropped onto the Sejuani or the Aurelia, whoever's going to go in and start these fights off. Then you just have this invulnerable diving front line going in, trying to blow up people like a Jinx, which really doesn't have that much protection in this team comp. Vladimir wants to go in, Akali wants to go in, the Nocturne wants to go in, Galio's probably going to be ulting on top of someone. So you have invulnerable backline.
Forward, Phil looking good. Tactical doesn't want to go down the shield, and Heal comes out from his W as they missed the zap back from Lost, but a good trade back and forth, and it does not look like TSM is healthy after that. Shouldn't matter, though.
It should not matter. It's actually very favorable for them. If you trade Summoners, he loses his Flash Taunt Engage.
Yep.
You lose your Flash on Sona,
Ignite,
which is normally a concern. But now all the kill threats down, and you have a ton of sustain. So you already see Sona getting close back to topped off, Taric a little bit further behind, but it's going to have to force Fox's bot lane back to base, and you survived the first aggressive thing that they did, and that's really what this lane is focused on.
I like Lost. He's saying, all right, this is going to be one of those lanes. Call for me. Let's farm. Give myself some extra gold. This is going to be weird fights here on the bot side.
Yeah, they are understanding that this is a bit of a strange lane, and they want to make sure that they hit their power spikes.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be really hard to get those kills in when they can just keep healing, backing up, and kind of stunning as they know they're not going aggressive. So small lead here for TSM Academy as they're getting farmed to their lanes. That top side of Brandini being able to go ranged on Vladimir, 41-28. As I see Lorlo cleaning up some of those minions now is not going to bring him about 12 CS.
Yeah, it is a very tough lane, even with the Jace nerfs. There's a lot of base stat changes and health regen and not really early damage nerfs. So he is still going to win a lot of his matchups early on, and against Vladimir, who is notoriously weak early, you know, he can only really do well in melee matchups where they can't deal with him. Against another ranged champion, he usually loses those, and you see Lorlo, no surprise.
Rude.
6 CS down already, but that's not too bad because you should become a much better team fighter later on.
Brandini doing a nice job. Oh! I cursed him. That was my bad. I was going to say doing a nice job of freezing out the lane, but he's frozen on CSing right now. Yusui in the mid lane and Ablaze Olive been all quiet here on the home front. 52-39 to start off is obviously a bit of wave to clean up for Ablaze.
Yeah, we're talking about all the mid laners before the match, about how hyped you should be, and we get this really sick Aurelia versus Akali matchup, but because of what's happening in the bot lane, suddenly they're overshadowed completely by the draft. But I am very excited to see how the kind of melee carry matchup goes.
Good vision, priority from Yusui in mid lane. It's not going to matter that Grigg and team has seen Echo Fox Academy doing the Infernal Drake. Pull it out or they pull off. They're just going to pull it out for this one. Seeing that Vision War go down, Grigg's over. 50-50 Smite War. Level 4 to level 5, Grigg has a bit of a stronger smite, definitely to be noted. Nice dazzle onto the bot lane of Echo Fox, but I don't think you wanted to get that far in. Not looking good right now for the bot lane of Treats. They're getting damage back onto Panda. He could go down, but he lives. No burn there. Yusui's in, level 6. Perfect execution finds Treats, still has his second Q, I believe, or I should say ultimate. And Tactical looks like he could be taking a few more. 5-point strike now to come out after the auto. And a quick heal comes in from Tactical. Very long but slow fight coming out here to start the game. That's going to be first blood over for Yusui.
I actually like TSM's decision to contest that, and it felt like if they had been a little bit more coordinated on trying to burst down someone on the side of Echo Fox, that might have been an okay fight for them. But they were a little indecisive between going in and taking the fight or just trying to poke them off the dragon. They don't really do either. They get baited into a fight where Yusui was able to push in, and because they didn't instantly try and blow somebody up, it turns into a kind of elongated 4v3, which they end up losing. You see here, when Treats gets this double stun, Tactical's clearing a ward. If both of them were together with Grigg, maybe they could have tried to combo that for a little bit better damage, but they take it a little slowly, and it means Treats is too far forward. He gets chunked down really low, and it once again would have been a fine situation if Yusui did not have that priority in the mid lane and is able to collapse, just barely misses the stun. Nice roam early on by the Echo Fox mid laner that we said we kind of have our eye on as a bit of the star of the series potentially.
Used Ignite on that, so he'll have to be safe for a bit in mid lane. As he still actually has CS priority. That bit of an adventure to even them up now. Coming up on 8 minutes into the game, the gold has also leveled out. His teleport up for Lorlo on that top side. He just used it to get back home, actually. Continues his farm. Not too much of a discrepancy there. It looks like he actually is building up Zanya's quite fast, or at least Seeker's arm guard to get himself healthy and armored up against Brandini. He gets a very early Executioner's calling. That's going to be a thorn in the side of Lorlo as he tries to get himself healthy all the time. Especially before level 9.
That was another problem with that fight. No ults available for almost everyone in it but Yusui. So if you can be the one extra guy, not only the extra man, but you're bringing an extra ultimate ability when no one else had any. So now that everyone's starting to get their ultimates, we'll see how this goes. Whew.
Yusui playing it aggressive in the face of a Blaze Olive. Good vision on both sides for these mid laners. Allow them to go a bit harder. We're back to the Inferno. That's going to be Panda getting a smite down. He's very low, but still wants to get into the fight as he throws down the darkness. He will fall to the hands of Greg, and they'll be able to take down Phil as well as they fill their pockets with gold. 2 for TSM Academy. Yusui and a Blaze Olive go a little back and forth, but they will not full-on fight for now.
A quick 2-0 for TSM, but Fox did walk away with the Infernal Drake, so a little hard to say who that favors, as well as the fact that the kills did not end up on Aurelia, who they really would have wanted to have it. Went on to the Tarek and the Sejuani. Still nice to get your front line a little bit ahead, but would have preferred that on the Aurelia.
Punishing top lane right now, saying Brandini didn't have too many plays on those fighters, but he's doing well with Jace changing forms. Here's this Dragon play one more time. And EchoFox feels like they had the start up, and that smite coming through is Pandas.
Yep, Greg just barely not able to get in there, and it was a good job by Phil to kind of keep him zoned away. But while he was able to keep the Sejuani away from the smite steal, it did allow Tactical and Trees to kind of just roam up through the river and blow up the jungler as soon as he finished off the Dragon.
I was just going to say, whoa, CS bot lane, but I forgot what kind of bot lane we were looking at for a second.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where the stats team puts their hands in their head and starts crying, destroying their stats.
Why do you do this to stats?
Yeah, it just destroys it for the season, too. You know, you had Huni's Zillion top game where you're basically a game with 50 CSD.
The gold tells a good story. Tiers being stacked, a little bit of money from behind, kleptomancy gain, pockets of cash, so that helps. Yusui back over the wall. I almost thought for a second that was the Nocturne ultimate. We saw a little shade there. You can see his current Yusui Akali stats going on. A 1-0 from his roam kill, and he's about to pick up quite a few of these CS. Go positive.
Yeah, and it was an interesting mid lane choice because they took the Aurelia early on. They take double mages in the side lane on EchoFox's side, so there's not really a great place for the Aurelia to go because her W works best against physical damage now, which is why she was a little bit higher win rate topside. Akali is a bit of hybrid damage, so it's not too bad, but early on the laning phase was harassed down. You saw went for the Wits End build to kind of deal with some of that an early Q harass, and then from there, able to feels like even out the lane at this point. It doesn't feel like it's anymore in Akali's favor.
I like that. When you don't feel like you're kind of going away from a path that you actually need to build towards, Wits End feels nice for a Blaze Olive, especially against if he gets in a fight with Lorlo. Later in this, Phil's Winds of War and everything else he can kind of endure in these fights. Blue buff over to him so he can continue farming and blade surging around. Yusui will have the same for a little bit of energy recharge. Brandini on that top side pushed up. They did lose Inferno, so it was good that Greg was able to focus on Rift Herald. Let's see where they can use it.
Yep, we'll see if they can turn that into the first turret of the game, which is still available. With all the melees, it does feel like it's difficult to get a ton of turret plates this game, and there's plenty of time to get that Rift Herald onto one of them, so a big juicy paycheck. We also do have Sona completing her quest item now, so you'll see her grabbing a lot more of that CS already as we hit a pause.
Oh, no. Sona CS. We're like, wait, you need to take this now. So with about, what is that, 25% on Rift Herald, the choice is anywhere. Do you knock down Yusui's lane, or do you unleash the beast at that point? Do you already give it to, or do you just give it to Brandini, knock down 2 and a turret, right? Go all the way through. So many choices.
It's a really tough one because you think, all right, mid lane's most important turret. Let's drop it there. It's Aurelia. She's going to have a hard time taking that turret. It's going to be hard all game long.
Yeah.
So let's get it while we can. But on the flip side, the most important person on this team to really get ahead is, of course, that Jace, the champion that needs to stay ahead the most. Yeah. And you want him in a side lane the whole game, pulling the Vladimir away from these team fights. So it is a bit of a tough decision to go for. I think the Jace is probably ultimately the right decision. Especially because he's probably going to be getting collapsed on a fair amount in the side lane. You have a Nocturne and Galio on the other team, so you want him to be strong.
That's true. We haven't actually seen Pandora's box really be open for this side of EchoFox here when they get their Galio and whatnot out of this lane, the bot side. So still seeing this Sona and Tarek composition kind of come to fruition. Like we said, they just got their way. Tactical got his way into his second item, his quest upgrade, and he's starting to CS a little bit more. Where does that flow into, and when should we kind of see them starting to break up their composition? or that strategy in the bot lane?
Well, I think it's the kind of thing where, yeah, you start getting your sight stones, and pretty quickly you want to start just laying vision down everywhere. The Sona does start building a little bit more AP. So we'll have to see exactly what the build path chooses to be. There's the solo queue build path, but I want to see if it looks different in competitive. But yeah, the idea would be that you are able to get so much vision down from any team. You have all this dive potential. You can see them, where they're coming from, their flanks, and all this stuff. So you get to pick the favorable fight. And then at the end of the day, it is still a team fight comp, as weird as it looks, and it is very dive focused.
Yep.
I'm just concerned if there's enough damage, but there's not a ton of protection on the other side.
No, there is not. A quick update for the pause. FOXA experiencing a slight bit of lag
Slight bit of lag.
that we will investigate and get them right back into game. You see TSM Academy on your screen here. We were talking a little bit earlier about Coach Peter as well. Coach of the Split previously, definitely has a lot of pedigree under his belt for what he's been able to do for teams. So expecting to see more crazy things.
Yeah,
And interesting play styles.
He's been a bit of a mad scientist over the years, and no surprise that they bust this one out. And it's funny because on the flip side, you have Mabry, who is his first split coaching, I believe. So,
Right.
you know, very quickly, he did get one best of 5 experience before having to go up against this brain bender. And we'll see. You know, it's fun right now, and then the fun really begins on how they adapt between games, or if they even need to, because maybe Fox just wins this one.
It's a full learning experience, too. The coach gets to see how his players react to being kind of duped into this interesting lane. When you're like, wait, Sona Tarek after all of this? Okay, let's go. So we have that crescendo up. Cosmic Radiance is up. We could see this dive initiation strategy start happening sometime soon. We'll have to see some of these turrets break. We have a minute until we have those armor plates fall off and everybody starts really getting hungry. Far off for Jinx's Infinity Edge. They look around at some of these items. Nobody's got that first core just yet, except for that Wit's End in the mid lane.
And I gotta say, Echo Fox's bot lane grabbing a fair amount more turret plates than I would have thought against this lane. You would have thought it would have been able to poke them out a little bit more, be more aggressive, but wasn't actually the case. And Echo Fox's bot lane has a nice lead for themselves, I believe. It's hard to tell. But given the turret plating advantage, you would think Jinx is going to be ahead.
This becomes hard when it's even, you can't tell if it's a vision lead you're saying, or it's the lead of in-game turrets down and we know we're ahead kind of thing. You're like, it's actually in between. Who is in the lead right now?
Yep.
Trying to figure it out. Actually, this would help TSM Academy quite a bit. You're definitely going to be able to see that this will put some plates down. And they did it just before we get that 14-minute mark on the clock.
Yeah, didn't see the gold end up on a Blaze all his heads. That was a little concerning. At the end of the day, they do go for that mid lane turret, probably for the reasons like I was saying. You have a bunch of melees. You don't have great siege potential early on. Yes, the Sona, probably late game if you're going Lich Bane and those kinds of things can take turrets, but the other team has a Jinx, so you want to break that mid turret however you can.
Yeah, I didn't see the gold either.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the Aurelia.
Yeah, because I was looking at their 22.4 to watch that go up as well, and it did not move.
Yeah, I mean, I
Unfortunate.
think Grig would have still gotten it then, but it's hard to tell. Anyways, there's the gold lead. As you can see, about a 1,500 gold advantage in Lost's favor. So very strong, but there is about a 900 gold advantage in Treats' favor, so it's worth noting.
The strategy that pays off. Teleport now coming down into the Tri-Brush on the side of Echo Fox. Lost is in this fight. Looks like that Infinity Edge could actually be finished unless he just got the critical cloak purchased up in his inventory. They're back to lane. They're starting to farm, and that's a nice Mountain Drake over to the side of TSM Academy. That is the Infinity Edge there with Zerk Greaves, so pretty powerful for Lost at this point in the game if they can get this fight onto a squishy Sona.
Yeah, like you said, IE completed. We'll see if that means they'll be able to break the turret shortly. And it does feel like this is going to be a game. Hold on here. Some aggression. It does feel like one of those games that's going to come down a little bit to how long Jinx can survive in team fights. We're talking about both teams having a lot of backline dive, but TSM's backline is a Sona, I guess, maybe the Jace, whereas the other team's backline is Jinx. So it's much more important to kill that Jinx. And the fact that she's off to a good start is good for Echo Fox.
These guys have been on an island.
That's the top lane lifestyle, man.
It is. Ooh, Emo Plague. There we go. Panda coming in. This is what you were talking about, Mark. As soon as Brandini gets himself up in that lane, we didn't even have to see Phil's Galio coming in for that. Panda and Lorlo come up big for a kill.
Yep, good picks into this Jace, which you know wants to side lane split push. You start getting some globals. it's a little hard maybe early on, but as soon as the turret drops, you can start racking up kills. I believe that was the first ultimate out of Panda this game, and maybe a little later than you would have wanted to see, but at least it was a success.
He threw down the tiptoe ult at Dragon, just to blind everybody.
The please don't kill me ult.
But that was the first we're going all in, buddy. And it was great. Lorlo's very happy to have that pressure relieved after quite a bit of time. Our ultimate goes down, slowing Yasui as he gets out, but he denies vision across mid lane brush towards the top side and gets himself out safely. He's starting to get a little bit of pressure here from a Blaze Olive. Takes that ignite away, so he'll be safer as he returns to lane. But I like what I'm seeing from a Blaze Olive here.
Yeah, still pretty scary. If Grig was able to get the Sejuani buff onto the auto attacks a little bit earlier, maybe they could have stacked that stun up.
Get it.
Ooh. Ward battles. There's going to be a lot more of those with the double Sightstone items.
Oh, yeah. This is that part where we heard Blaze Olive saying everybody gets pretty scrappy here. They love to fight scrappy on TSM. We'll see if that is what continues as we're just getting up to 17 minutes. Next Drake is a Cloud. Not necessarily the one you're always going to fight over, but I feel like they're going straight forward if it's a chance to get an advantage in this game.
Yeah, both teams feel a little ready to fight.
Yeah.
Not really think they're going to wait on too many more items. Yes, Lost probably does want a Zeal upgrade before they're really ready to rock the 5v5s, but the Drake does feel like a pretty enticing objective.
Drop down bot side. It's just that mid lane turret now. TSM Academy has yet to lose a structure on the map, and they're all actually looking pretty healthy. Mid lane, you can see, actually pretty beaten and battered here by Yasui in that mid lane, but they should still actually stand with the focus here going to be on the outside.
Yeah, we'll see how the Sona does moving around the map. This is the part of the game where the marksman typically starts becoming the focal point. You've broken your bot lane turret, the top one's already broken, so maybe you put them mid, they try and push out the melee assassin in the mid lane to start breaking that turret. But Sona's totally different than what we're used to seeing, so there might be a bit different focus.
Tactical Entreat still heading down towards that bot side of the map. I thought they would go mid. Oh, again, it's rinse and repeat for this top lane. Brandini's going to have some deep, deep wards if he wants to stay alive from now on.
Top gank 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Panda feeling good. Actually gets Lorlo a kill that time, so they're not just getting the assist party up there, and he can start to get bigger. Hex Tech Belt finish for him, and the Seeker's Arm Guard was just the early purchase to keep himself nice and armored up versus Brandini. Fight into Yasui. Here comes that hero's entrance. They are going to be able to get a knock-up onto Greg. Perfect execution finally to kill out. Nice taunt onto a Blaze Olive. Here comes the rocket in from Lost. He gets to participate from downtown. Treats at him just on the other side of the fight. Phil should be able to live through this of Panda. Now entering as a new challenger approaches. Taunts inside the turret. As a quick justice punch away from Phil. And he gets himself to safety. It's just a little back and forth there at the end. Lost can't find another kill, but a 1-for-1 overall. And that's great for Lost to pick up a Quicksilver Sash coming into these fights.
Yeah, both mid laners drop, but you have to remember that fight started with Brandini in the top side getting killed off.
True.
So they're able to take that top turret, ends up in a favorable trade for Echo Fox. But that fight was super close to going heavily in TSM's favor. There was a last-second taunt by Phil that stopped the E proc from going out to Yasui and stunning him and keeping a Blaze Olive alive. The fact that they were able to get that taunt off made them able to trade 1-for-1. And Phil barely got out with his life.
Oh, Panda wants to go in over and over. The GA is up for him. Ultimate's almost there. Tactical taking a lot of damage as a few heals come in from Treats and himself. 3 now in the mid lane versus 2 as Cloud Drake is being hovered around Baron in 2 seconds. So this fight is actually going to mean a lot.
Yeah, ult almost back up for Panda. It's really nice. I believe he has presence of mind to get more ults off quickly because they've all been successful.
Whoa, they want to pop that GA right away.
Yeah,
do not get it.
A little too safe there.
Could be going back in, nicely denying the vision. Everybody taunted on the side of TSM, and it looks like they'll be able to turn around right after that fight. It wasn't going to be enough from Phil. He goes down first. Panda's next as he was already low and had to give his life for the fight. They're looking at Lorlo and Lost on the top side. Yasui just gets himself out before he gets locked down. by Griggs E, and now it is just Echo Fox running for the hills as TSM is able to use this fight composition beautifully.
And that is the power of Tarek's ultimate. You see the dive come in. It's very telegraphed. As soon as the Nocturne presses his ult, you hesitate for a second or two, then start channeling your ultimate. So by the time he arrives, you kind of already have that coming in. It was a really great TP flank that against any other composition that doesn't have a Tarek probably works. But it's against the Tarek, and he negates so much damage. Watch the backside of this fight. You're going to see the Vladimir in the bot lane. As they're kind of jumping onto Panda, he starts getting in the perfect position. TSM's funneling into this river. Phil's kind of hanging around. They're all caught out of position. Here comes that ultimate, but as soon as the Nocturne ult starts, that's when you drop the Tarek ultimate. So by the time he shows up, boom, everyone invulnerable. The combination of Vladimir's E and Pool doing no damage. They instantly kill the Galio. They pop the GA, and there's still a chance they can almost win this fight, but there's so many heals coming in. They're all AoE. They can't actually finish anyone off. They barely get out and avoid the ace, only due to some last-second nice traps by Jinx to make sure there's no more chase.
There's not a lot of times that you see those Cosmic Radiances perfectly hitting everybody at the right time, but Treats has it on lockdown. I have not seen the Tarek play from him all throughout the split, so it's like riding a bike for him. He's right back into it, and he's doing great things. TSM, it's a pretty good jump and kind of control there. Gold is still even. The map is actually still pretty even, too.
Yeah, you talk about Cosmic Radiance being one of the most difficult skills to use.
Super conditional.
It's one of those ones where you either look like a genius or an idiot. You do it too soon, you do it too late, you don't negate any damage. But what's great is when you have an enemy ability that's almost like a trigger. Like, you see this, you know, start channeling it. And that's exactly what Paranoia is in this comp. If Panda starts reacting and hesitating, because you do actually have a fair amount of time to reactivate the ultimate on a target, you can maybe bait it out, but it starts becoming this kind of mind game of when do I drop it? As we see right now, he's not going.
Heroes Entrance comes in, Cosmic Radiance now, and they start denying the damages. They turn the fight again onto Echo Fox. Tactical very low. They are going to be able to drop the Sona. Phil's now getting very low as well. Lorlo running for the hills, but he's going down as Yasui goes up. They have to split, and it does not look good for Echo Fox. Fight after fight. Man, they said it would be scrappy, and we continuously go back at it as soon as all 5 members are in the mid lane. A quick lockdown here. There's the CC that'll take down Lorlo, and Death is the best CC.
Right as I'm talking about it, they hesitate on the Cosmic Radiance this time because Panda wasn't ulting in. They try and time it with the ult, and because they did that correctly, they once again win the fight. This time a bit of a whitewash. Only Yasui gets out alive and allows them to turn on the Baron buff.
Should go down quite fast. Fight after fight. The split happens. They want tactical right away, but there's just so many other members dashing and diving around that have such a big impact and damage. Taking him out seems to be a futile attempt.
And I love this. They see the Vladimir, but they don't panic and drop the Cosmic Radiance just because they see the Vladimir. They wait till the Galio starts coming in and the Nocturne. So you're immuning that kind of engage. If they hesitate a little longer, you know, they start dying. If he drops it earlier, maybe the enemy team has just baited it out and then they go. But once again, a perfectly timed ultimate by Treats sets up that fight. Huge win for them.
And look at this, 4 sweepers in this Vision squad coming in from TSM. So they say, Fox, you're going to put some Vision down. We're just going to deny all of it.
Well, and you don't need yellow trinkets. You have 2 sight stones.
Yep,
so
exactly.
it's actually the perfect thing to do. The only person who keeps his yellow trinket is, of course, Brandini, who's splitting away the most. But everyone else, you go sweepers and you make sure that you deny the enemy Vision because you have your 2 supports in the bot lane giving you plenty.
No excuses. Vision everywhere. Security throughout the jungle.
And I want to highlight Lost Build. He was someone who was ahead a little bit early on. You see he went for a QSS, which is pretty surprising given that there's not an obvious CC that he's trying to immune. I mean, there is a fair amount of dive and maybe go for a Sejuani stun or a Sona ult, but you really need an Executioner's Calling against how much healing is on the enemy team. And as the main damage threat, you need to be focusing on making sure you have that damage, and the QSS is a bit of a wasted item right now.
Now they head into the base already. 25 minutes. TSM has been able to throw Echo Fox for a loop with this composition. Echo Fox just cannot find the right in. Who's the priority target? It almost changes every time, or it's just getting away from them. In the last fight, we saw Yasui chasing tactical the entire time Cosmic Radiance is on. That's the time Yasui wants to be doing damage, so it's almost just denying them any of this DPS they want to put into the fight, and man, they have the power to siege. They are going right through the inhibitor turrets. Yasui into the Shroud to try and keep himself safe, and the inhibitor's taking a few shots as it's Brandini's work and tactical to be on that front line. A dangerous, dangerous squad to do it, but they are dancing on those eggshells right now and doing it beautifully.
Yep, super well done. They blow a couple ultimates to Sejuani and Aurelia to force them back from that turret and allow them to grab the inhibitor, but they don't overdive, they don't focus on kills, they grab the objective and they reset.
Right back to mid, don't waste the Baron. 1 minute left on this, already a 3K Baron buff power play. And they're gonna be able to take down a turret number 2 in the mid lane. Chompers set out, but they need to go no further than taking down that global gold for themselves. And you can see the difference over time. Slow roller coaster, and then we started to take off when TSM got to that fight phase.
Yeah, and just look at how many wards they have the bot side jungle alone. Just absolutely littered. They knew that those were the 2 lanes that they wanted to play with. So that's where they dropped their double sight stones. There's nothing on the top side, and there's almost no path through there. As well as the fact that with the amount of sweepers that you have on the enemy team, a mere 3 sweepers, it actually takes a super long time, and you have to use those pretty efficiently to properly clear out a quadrant of a jungle.
And I think the team communication went across Fox as well, Mark. That Executioner's calling was brought in, seeing that there's just too much healing going around. Self-healing, team healing for this TSM squad. Definitely needed that, Executioners for Lost.
Yep, glad to see that they were able to grab that one. Did not delay that much longer, but it does feel like maybe a little too late. 6,000 gold down.
Treats as well. The Abyssal Mask coming out for him, so he does a little bit more, but also resists a little bit of that Yasui kill if it comes in. Also, Lorlo's Hemo Plague. 207 for Greg, a fantastic start. The initiations, the team is right behind him on all of this, and TSM is working.
I'm looking at that Abyssal Mask and kind of wondering if that's really the item that they should have gone. I mean, there's a fair amount of magic damage on the enemy team, but Jinx and Nocturne brings plenty of physical, as well as the fact that
maybe you just have a moment when you're like, I'm rich?
I'm sure that's what it was. It was like, I usually don't have that much gold. What do I do? I'm a support player. I don't think that was quite right, because they also, as well as the fact that there's a pretty even damage profile on the side of Echo Fox.
You do have the AD in there.
There's plenty of AD in there, and then your team is also not that magic damage heavy, so you are not really benefiting that much from the amped magic damage, because Blaze Olive and Brandini are both physical. You do have the magic damage from Sona, but I would be surprised if she's a big DPS threat in these fights.
Did you get a bunch of armor, Tarek, anyways?
Yeah, but I think something like a Knight's Vow could work well for a champion to give their diving a little bit more threat. Even a Locket could be good, because they are getting dove on. It can buy the extra amount of time for your Cosmic Radiance to finish coming through. As they show the total damage dealt, you see Sona not really, like I said, not the biggest damage threat this game.
This Abyssal Mask card synergy for Sona isn't working that well?
It's probably not the most efficient usage of items, is all I'm saying.
I get it. I don't want to get it, though. I like the build. I like the teamwork. I like what's going on here.
I love the comp. Yeah. Let's be fair.
0, 1, and 7 for Sona, but it's all right. You can't look at that score. Making the plays still happen. Flashes up around the board. I'm trying to see who doesn't. It's actually Phil. He can still get himself into the fight. Not too big of a problem. And everybody has a lot of their aggressive summoners up as well in Ignite.
Yeah, after they lost that fight in the mid lane, it's basically been stalling out. There's the first flash force by Greg.
Getting a little chilly in here. Feeling the Glacial Prison go off to the side, and Phil, not having that flash, gets himself in a real bad position. Goes down immediately. A flash there from Lost, so he becomes even more of a target as he has to exit through the base gate. And off to Baron goes TSM Academy.
Tough position to be in from here. You wonder if with the QSS, maybe Lost could have just tanked the Sejuani ult and then QSS it off. Who knows? Those are the kind of next level plays that they kind of actually need to make at this point, because they're so far down. After Phil gets picked off with the vision control that they have, as you see in that top red side jungle, there's no way that Echo Fox wants to contest that, and a free Baron to TSM.
Panda doing what he can. He says, you're going to take Baron, I'll take all of your jungle. Takes it.
Worth.
He doesn't even have time to get it all. He's like, wait, no, never mind. I just wanted a little bit. I'm sorry. So Guardian Angel's going to have to be on for that next dive. Jinx ultimate, waiting for that to come back up. Might have a bit of a pause button with these flashes now for Lost to come in, but the fight could still be there. If he's clearing a side lane and gets a good teleport in, it depends on how they work it. It might be nice to actually get those lanes split and have everybody else come in to buy some time, so the next fight won't mean TSM is actually in their base.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It does feel a little doomed right now for Echo Fox. Only 2 inhibitor turrets left standing, the 2 Nexus turrets. And like we saw in the bot lane, TSM is more than willing to just kind of throw their ults out and say either back off the turret or die. And when an enemy team is feeling aggressive like that, you start having to take one of those fights eventually to come back.
On the top side, almost able to go around the horn. They have 1 more inhibitor turret left up in mid on Echo Fox's side here. That inhibitor falls fast, and they do not even want to step to TSM. Lorlo's the one in the front. Lorlo almost goes down immediately. Still has the Zanyas when he comes out of that pool. Going to be able to get it on, but he's losing the team. They are dropping around him. A resurrecting Panda to come back up. Yasui looking to get out of his Zanyas. He will be safe onto the fountain, but it's all safety is what Echo Fox is looking for, as TSM is looking for which priority target to drop first. And they have enough minions now for Nexus turrets inside the base. 25 minutes is when they broke the base. Just 6 minutes later, it could be the Nexus. Hero's entrance in. Phil's going to be able to get himself a kill there on a Blaze Olive as they try to chase TSM out of the base. They try to keep the game alive, so number 2 isn't from behind. And they almost get the kill on the Brandini. Shots coming in. Lost is excited. There's a kill from Lorlo. Greg with a few more hits, but he's got a lot of armor in that Gargoyle Stone Plate to dazzle back. Enough from the zap here, but Lost doesn't have it, and he cannot bring out the rocket launcher. They have staved off the loss, but TSM will be back.
Such a difficult fight from Echo Fox. They actually played that so well all the way from the beginning to the end when they were finally able to win that fight. Lorlo went in super early on and baited out a ton of damage getting dumped onto him. He pooled underneath the Sona ultimate.
See it again.
And after blowing all the cooldowns, no ultimates left available, and all 5 members on both teams, TSM gets a little overconfident, and Echo Fox's comp is a little bit better at fighting front to back with no ultimates available because they have a Jinx who's untouched this entire time. And so the front line does a great job setting Lost up to start rampaging through this fight. He just barely runs out of mana. Otherwise, this probably would have been a clean ace for Echo Fox.
Zooming out of the base. Tactical to rejoin his team, and we'll see damage coming out of that Blast team fight. Total damage dealt to champions. Big time from Brandini, able to stay in there in his ranged mode. But you can see across the board quite a bit being put out from Lost and Lorlo. So if they can stay alive, they can really get the damage done. Yasui has not been able to find his priority targets this game. Getting in there. It's still 2-1 and 3. Still choosing the right moments to go in.
It's tough. I mean,
if you will.
What is a priority target for TSM's comp? You know, like, I guess you want to chain CC and kill the Taric. Honestly, it's probably your best bet, but you don't have any CC in your comp other than the Galio, and you probably can't burst him through the healing and other things that are going to come in through this comp. So it's super hard for Echo Fox to win a fight. They need to bait out the Taric ultimate. They need to bait out the Sona ultimate. They need to eventually get into a situation where it's almost front-to-back team fighting after baiting those, and the Jinx can win, but their whole comp is built to dive.
They would love to wait another minute for Panda's Guardian Angel to come up. Throws down. Oh, they get the TP in as they throw on Paranoia. They're not waiting at all. I'm eating Crow, but Panda's going to be eating dirt as he goes down immediately. Lorlo almost getting locked down. He does get the stun up. Damage onto Phil as TSM is just able to find them in the middle. They continue to dogpile each member of Echo Fox. That's going to be the kill. The triple over onto Lost, and huge for a Blaze Olive coming up in the last fight, looking for the Quadra. Lorlos goes into the Zanya, but gold only looks good for so long as Brandini picks up the last kill, and that's going to be TSM tearing Echo Fox's base apart. Nexus is open, and game 1 will go to TSM Academy.
Super well done by TSM Academy early on in this series. A beautiful draft, very intelligently played, grouping up as 5, making sure the Nocturne can't find picks in the side lane, and forcing those kinds of engages where they have the perfect counter engage tool, where Treats was expertly using that Taric ultimate.
I did not expect that kind of fierce of a game out of that composition. You pick a comp, you know what its win conditions are, and you say, yeah, we need to fight a bit. We always need to stay active so we never fall behind. Each lane was able to do that. Panda coming in with good ults to shut down Brandini. They stopped that from happening. Brandini switched up his gameplay, and they made focus somewhere else on that. Like, everything worked there. Credit to TSM Academy for making the Sona Taric comp work.
Yeah, it was super cool to see. It was something that was talked about on the Reddit boards and then some solo queue, and eventually finding its way into pro play and looking super strong.
Yep, so let's head back into the game. 8:30 as we go back in your minds. The Dragon fight where TSM was able to get a 2-0 out of this. And you're kind of thinking, is this the good one? There was already a fight where TSM kind of made a poor choice on this, but it worked out.
Yeah, this is the second Drake attempt where this time the bot lane's able to wrap around to Panda and find a nice kill onto him. And the fact that Ablaze Olive was able to get involved this time around, they just blow 2 members up. And yes, you got the Infernal Drake, but our bot lane that is this double support is suddenly picking up kills and starting to get a little bit of a foothold into the game because they did spend the first 10 minutes kind of pushed in and losing turret plates.
Yeah, and seeing TSM's fight comp come together was actually another thing. The Cosmic Radiance working, the Sona and Taric sustain. You saw how Echo Fox wasn't able to really choose or do anything that worked for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just such a beautiful pick into the comp that Echo Fox built. It's an all-dive comp for Echo Fox. And you have an ultimate that negates damage for 2 seconds. So as soon as the Nocturne ultimate comes in, you drop the Taric ultimate. By the time this wombo combo dive is starting going on, you're immune. You can't take damage. And so you just melt those people who dove in, who are assassins and relatively squishy. You have a good front line. And then after you kill them, you have heals through multiple champions to sustain up over the course of the team fight. So normally, when a Jinx is going in and following up on a dive comp, everyone's already low.
Yeah.
They're already chunked out. So even if you didn't get the kills, the Jinx on the backside should be finding the resets. But that Super Mega Death Rocket comes through. But after that, the Taric ultimate comes through, and now Sona's getting healed up through multiple people. They do finish her off, but look, the rest of the team is extremely healthy, and Lost also has to deal with the fact that the enemy's dive ain't so bad either.
So much chase time out of that Cosmic Radiance, buying Yasui, just walking around. So I think you can get rid of this with the Taric. The Cosmic Radiance is what's really throwing you for a loop. Taric, you don't have to ban 2, obviously, but now you have a ban you weren't expecting to have coming into the series. I expect.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect they try and do something about this. It's a lot harder to try and formulate a strategy that beats something as opposed to saying, hey, let's just ban it and not have to think about that.
Yeah, this is very true. Or since you're going to be switching sides, if you want, and when your selection comes up, you just say, let's take it.
Yeah.
Do they adapt?
It's hard. I think
they were just born in it.
It was an interesting draft because a number of things that Echo Fox did were actually really smart and should have worked if the Taric pick wasn't there. The Vladimir into the Jace, yes, you lost early on, but then you had the Nocturne side lane to punish it, and then if you group up and take 5v5 team fights, your comp should be better, but because they could negate so much of what the comp was trying to do, it fell apart. So I actually think what Echo Fox attempted this game was smart. It's just the enemy team had a Taric counterpick that completely blew them out of the water.
And I like how that worked too. Echo Fox kind of felt like, hey, we got a Kali. We got Lorlo's Vladimir. He's pretty good on that as well. We got Nocturne for Panda. This feels great. Wait, we didn't win a game where we got a lot of our champions. So mental play there coming into a 5-game series. It's not that you played the champions wrong. Players just need to reset and say, that composition was a bit wonky. Let's ban out the Taric and figure out how to play Echo Fox's game because TSM Ablaze Olive was right coming into that. It's going to be a very scrappy game. We both play scrappy, and that's the way it went.
Yeah, and I think you saw the Roams early on, the Drake fights. Yeah. There was a lot of other things going on beyond the comp that are super important to continue out through the series because you're probably not seeing that comp again.
Yep. Game 1 went the way of TSM Academy. We'll see if Echo Fox Academy can bounce back when we return for Game 2. That's coming up right after the break. Back to the Infernal. That's going to be Panda getting the smite down. He's very low, but still wants to get into the fight as he throws down the darkness. He will fall to the hands of Greg, and they'll be able to take down Phil as well. Cosmic Radiance now, and they start denying the damage as they turn the fight again. On to Echo Fox. Tactical very low. They are going to be able to drop the Sona. Phil's now getting very low as well. Lorlo running for the hills, but he's going down as Yasui goes up. They have to split, and it does not look good for Echo Fox.
Let's go, let's go. This is good, this is good. Yeah, taunting forward. Nice, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah, Tark. I'm getting stunned. We can go. Oh, I got stunned. I'm looking. This is good.
But Panda's gonna be eating dirt as he goes down immediately. Lorlo almost getting locked down. He does get the stun up. Damage onto Phil as TSM is just able to find them in the middle. They continue to dogpile each member of Echo Fox. That's gonna be the kill. The triple over onto Lost.